The most awkward thing that happened at a sleepover. Story 1. One time I was over at a friend's house for his 11th birthday. It was myself, the birthday boy, and 3 other guys. We all slept in our sleeping bags in the basement. At around 5 a.m., we all awake to find Jake yelling at the birthday boy, Derek. The reason? Derek thought it was funny to take a piss on Jake's face while he was sleeping, and Jake freaked out. Jake walked out right after that, while the rest of us stayed up and called our parents around 7. I went home around 8, and in that time, Derek was still trying to play it off as funny. Derek lost 4 friends that night. Story 2. Camping in the backyard with some friends when I had to pee super bad. I couldn't find the zipper to the tent to get out, and I was about to burst. So I ended up trying to pee through the mesh window. I don't know why. Well, peeing through mesh doesn't work very well, especially with terrible 9-year-old aim, and I ended up laying a pretty thick layer of atomized urine all over everyone else in the tent. In the morning, it turns out one of my other friends was awake pretending to be asleep and saw the whole thing and told everyone it was me who peed all over everything in the tent. Dude was awake while he was getting piss all over him and said nothing. What the fuck, man? Needless to say, I was not invited to another sleepover for quite a while. Story 3. The day after the sleepover, my friend wouldn't let me leave no matter what I did. Around 6 p.m., his dad finally said I should probably go home. Friend burst into tears, threw himself to the floor, and was begging his dad to make me stay. Story 4. Probably about 14. This girl decided to have a big slumber party for her birthday. Well, she was stereotypically uncool, wore t-shirts with wolves on them, bragged about how far she could stick the arm of her glasses up her nose, and kind of always smelled like dogs. I was about one social rung above her. My friend and I were the only people that showed up at her big party. Her mom made us hot dogs, and dinner was silent. Her dad arrived and started screaming about how her 2 gigantic German shepherds hadn't gotten enough affection that day. He ended up throwing a hot dog at the girl's mother. Later on, I made a joke of the word gracias as grassy ass because I was 13. Her dad pulled me into the kitchen and screamed at me. I was shaken up and scared, so we all went to bed. In the middle of the night, my friend and I woke up with the girl sitting up right between us and shaking us awake. We tried to figure out what was going on, and she just said, "You know, we could kiss." Having no interest in such things at that age, I was thoroughly disturbed. My friend called her mom and claimed we were sick and had to be picked up immediately. It was just too much discomfort for one night. Story 5. It was first grade, my first sleepover party. We were watching one of the Star Wars movies and talking Pokemon cards. We were all having a great time. Bedtime rolls around and my dad has to bend over to turn the VCR off. As he crouches down, he lets rip a fart so thunderous Thor would have cowered, right into the face of my best friend at the time. Story 6. This was both awkward and kind of scary. I was 8 or 9 years old. My friend was having a birthday party and a bunch of us were sleeping over in the basement. The basement itself was pretty creepy, and we had spent much of the night telling horror stories until we eventually went to sleep. At around 2 a.m., we were woken up by one of the girls stomping up and down the stairs. She was yelling and crying. I can't remember what she was yelling specifically, but it was basically nonsense. It basically looked and sounded like she was possessed. A few of the girls started asking her to go back to sleep, and she basically just angrily screamed, "No!" and continued going up and down the stairs. Finally, she eventually stopped without a word and went back to bed. Found out in the morning that she had been sleepwalking, and on top of it had wet the bed. She was really embarrassed, and we all felt really awkward at breakfast that morning. TLDR, friend woke us up acting like she was possessed by some kind of demon. Turned out to be sleepwalking and peed the bed. Story 7. I was in the 4th grade and sleeping over at my best friend's house. I wet his bed and then clogged their toilet with a massive dump. I didn't know what to do, so I shut the lid and ran into the garage to hide. Story 8. I was about 10, sleeping over with a group of pals, including my buddy's little brother who was around 9. We finished up a few rousing games of Donkey Kong 64 and Hydro Thunder and all went to bed. Woke up to find the little brother standing ominously above me, butt-ass naked except for a pair of Christmas-themed tube socks on his hands and arms, and peeing into my half-open sleeping bag. No more sleepover at Ryan's house. Guess you played 2 different kinds of Hydro Thunder that night. Story 9. Took the most wholesomely fulfilling shit in my friend's bathroom and ended up flooding the bathroom at 2 a.m. The parents had to clean up the entire mess. It was an awkward breakfast the next morning. Story 10. I was sleeping over at a friend's house after a party in high school. I shared a big couch next to this girl I sort of had a crush on and a couple of other people. I was woken up to a tap on my shoulder and felt my massive boner pressed firmly against this girl. She did not reciprocate. Story 11. My friend in high school had the house where all of our friends would play Smash Brother tournaments until our eyes bled, then go to sleep in his massive RV parked outside. I wasn't, and still am not, a morning person, so I'd usually be the last one out of the RV. One night, I fell asleep on the pull-out bed in my jeans and all, with just a blanket covering me. As I wake up, I'm still in that half-awake, half-asleep haze, and I feel something rustling in my nether regions. I figure it's just morning wood, and I go back to sleep. Then it happens. I feel it again. Wake up for real this time. And my dick is outside of my zipper, pants still on, blanket still covering, and as I look over, my friend is laying next to me, he and I being the only two in the RV, staring directly at the ceiling. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt and prayed he didn't just pull my penis out of my pants while I was asleep, so I packed up and headed home. Lo and behold, an hour later I get a text saying he was so sorry, he didn't know what he was thinking. Yeah, man. You just pulled my dick out of my pants when I was sleeping. I'm gonna need a little space. Story 12. When I was like 11, my mom made friends with this chick at her work who had a daughter the same age as me. There was a few times where her mom and my mom would hang out and bring us along, so we were kind of friends. Anyway, the girl has a birthday party and sleepover. She invites me. We didn't go to school together, so I didn't know any of the other girls she had over. There was 4 other girls. So we eat pizza, swim in her pool, sleepover stuff. So later in the night, after her mom and her mom's boyfriend had gone to bed, we were all hanging out in a room just talking about weird preteen shit while listening to music. So the TV is on, but since we have our music on too, the TV is on mute. I don't know who put it on or how long it had been on, but in the middle of our conversation, this girl says, "Oh my God, look at the TV." It was some softcore Cinemax porn, and the room was just silent. So this other girl asked if any of us had ever come. Most of us were like, no. So then she asked if we know how. Again, we're all like, no, not really. So this girl grabs a pillow and starts humping it while we all just sit there. Sean Paul's Temperature was playing in the background. Story 13. In about 7th grade, I had a sleepover with a few friends. One of them started crying when we started watching The Simpsons because he wasn't allowed to watch it at home. We couldn't calm him down for almost an hour. Story 14. Friend's mom walked downstairs to find 8 6th grade boys huddled around the TV watching porn. We instantly pretended to be asleep, and nothing was ever said after that. I still think of it every time I see her. We sincerely appreciate you taking the time to watch our YouTube video. If you find our content helpful and enjoyable, please click the subscribe button to stay updated on any new videos we share in the future. Thank you once again, and we hope to see you in our next upcoming videos.